This year marks 12 years since the world was first introduced to Splatoon. I've been a hardcore fan ever since, with Splatoon easily making my top 3 favorite franchises of all time. So, as someone who makes video game concepts and posts about them here on YouTube, imagine what was going through my head as the Grand Festival Splatfest came to a close, Splatoon 3 to never get a major content update ever again. Nintendo really loves making us look stupid, don't they? But even if Nintendo went back on their word, Splatoon 4 is still going to come eventually. So me, being the me that I am, have not only drafted my own Splatoon 4 concept, but this is actually single-handedly the game concept I have put the most amount of effort into by far. I have written the script for the story, commissioned art for new characters, come up with ideas for several new modes, and even tried my hand at level design and drew a map for a new multiplayer stage. It's the only one I've done, so I have no clue if it's any good or not, so please let me know what you think of it in the comments below. But with that also comes the obvious. I can't possibly cram it all into a single video. That's right, this is going to be a multiple video series that I plan on releasing here periodically. So if you want to catch the rest of my Splatoon 4 concept as it drops, make sure to like and subscribe, so that way you don't miss a thing when it comes out and you can help support my content for free. Today, we'll only be going over the main concept of what a Splatoon 4 could be, aka general gameplay, new modes, and the world. So join me in the land beyond the sand as we ponder the question, what will Splatoon 4 actually be like? Well, we actually already have a good starting point. The Grand Festival. Any good Splatoon fan knows that the winning team of what is essentially the grand finale Splatfest always impacts the next game. In our case here, the Splatfest was, which is most important to you, past, present, or future? And the verdict? Dang it, no one can see that! There we go. Team Past. Now, there are a lot of ways this theme can be interpreted. The most common one I've seen is setting the game during the Great Turf War. However, I find this to be one of the worst ideas they could do. Splatoon is a franchise that mirrors our real world in some degree, reflecting on our own society and how self-centered we can be, but it also has a positive message about moving forward. There's a fantastic video that explains this leagues better than I ever could, that I've linked in the description down below if you want to check it out a bit more. But they've also confirmed that time in Splatoon passes the same as in real life in order to better show off some of these themes. Plus, dualies and other weapons post-Splatoon 1 were canonically not invented until their respective games where they debuted, so we'd be cutting all of those weapons if we wanted to not break lore, and I don't think too many people would be happy with either of those options. That's why my approach to honoring the past won't be by literally going there, but by creating a world in the present that's been shaped to better respect the past. Kind of like how for Splatoon 3, the world was shaped to better respect Chaos after the win of Team Chaos in Splatoon 2, instead of just literal anarchy. So what does it mean for the world to change to better respect the past? For me, that's reflecting on my ancestry. For Inklings and Octolings, doing that would mean returning to the sea. Now I know they can't swim, but what would be the next closest thing? This is where I welcome you all to Inken's Bay and the Battle Resort. In response to the growing nostalgia for ancestry amongst all fish kind, Oshima Enterprises has built a luxurious island getaway, immersing Inklings and Octolings alike in the beauty of nature and the heritage of their past. Now, in order to immerse players into this world, I plan on there being no returning stages, at least at launch, and all of the available new stages would focus on immersing players in nature, a stark contrast to all of the urban stages from the past 3 games. These new stages would also have a focus on standing out gimmick-wise, mainly because stages will now have completely different layouts in every mode they're in, and these gimmicks will help them to maintain their identity no matter which mode you play. Remember earlier when I said I had created my own stage? That was so I could better show off what it is I'm talking about. This is Tropical Jungle's layout for Turf War. Notice all of these green circles? They're trees. Players can climb up into the trees and stand on their leaves, but if too many people are standing on one leaf at the same time, it breaks and falls off. It'll regrow eventually, but for the time being, your soy butt is dropped back to the ground. I also have these raging rivers and trenches that go a bit below the stage. Now, here's what the layout for Tropical Jungle is in Tower Control. As you can see, completely different layout, but we still have the trees, river, and the trenches. Hence, it's still being Tropical Jungle. Every stage in the game would have this, so that way we can have layouts more specifically geared towards each mode, while still presenting the illusion of every stage being available in every mode. But I want to do more than that with Splatoon 4 because I really want to see the gameplay evolve. A big part of why I fell in love with Splatoon in the first place was because it answered the problem I had with a lot of other online shooters at the time. They all looked, felt, and played the same, at least to me. Splatoon was different! But now it's starting to fall into the same trap itself, where, aside from a few new weapon classes and abilities, Splatoon 2 and 3 aren't too different from the first one. But of course, we also don't want to alienate returning players, making things feel completely different from what a core Splatoon game should be. So, what's my solution? Well, I've seen this one idea thrown out occasionally, and I think it would be worth it for at least one game. Instead of 4 players on a team, we try 5. And I mean across all modes: Turf War, Anarchy Battle, and even Salmon Run. Besides, Mario Kart World already upped the player count, so why not Splatoon as well? Also, side note, renaming Ranked to Anarchy Battle for Splatoon 3 was cute, but I'm going back to having it be a Ranked Battle. Speaking of Ranked, they should totally add a brand new mode to Ranked. Now, I'm not the most competitive or skilled player, I don't really do Ranked too often, but I am still going to try and throw my hat into the ring. Introducing Seek and Destroy. Here, you're either a hider or a seeker. Team Hider won't have any weapons, otherwise they would be able to snipe any seekers coming their way. But in order to make up for something like that, the entire stage starts completely covered in the Hider's ink color. Hiders will also get a 10-second head start to go and hide. Seekers will only be able to launch out of their spawners after the first 10 seconds of a match. Seekers can successfully end the match early by splatting every hider before time runs out. But the hiders win if at least one teammate can survive until time runs out. But what happens to hiders who get splatted? I don't think they should just sit around waiting for that match to end. They respawn as ghosts. Ghosts can't be seen by or take damage from the Seekers, but they do get their weapons, but can only use them to help their teammates escape and maneuver around the stage. They can't deal damage to the Seekers. I've seen tons of people online asking for a hide and seek type of mode, and I thought this would be a fun way to include it, especially in a way that's super well thought out. This isn't going to be the only new game mode though, nor will it be the only change I'd make to Ranked. I want to finish talking about Ranked first, so starting with that, I think your rank should be assigned per mode instead of just overall. That way if I completely suck at Clan Blitz, it won't tank my rank for tower control. If there's already a system like this, I guess I don't know about it and sorry for wasting a bit of time, but I think that also means it should become a bit more obvious. If it already exists, that is. And for my final new mode, Splatoon 3 tried doing Turf War with 3 teams, but if you ask me, it failed for a number of reasons. First of all, it was locked to Splatfest. Second of all, with only 2 exceptions, none of the maps were really built for this kind of a mode, like, at all. And third of all, there weren't really 3 teams, as 2 of these teams could really only win if they worked together, so it was really kind of 2 teams. But also at the same time, with the way it worked, there's still a bit of a rivalry between the 2 teams that were supposed to be working together, and at the end of the day, I really just hated the other part of my team that was their own team, and I don't think you guys, I hope you can hear how complicated this all sounds. So, in my Splatoon 4 idea, there will be 2-team Turf War and 4-team Turf War. First and foremost, 4-team Turf War will always be available, not just during Splatfest. Also, just like in the other modes, stages will be redesigned to fit this 4-team format. Another part of the reason why I wanted to have something like that with the stages. And it will truly be a free-for-all amongst all 4 teams. No weird alliances or unclear objectives. Just 4 teams battling it out for turf dominance. But in order for things to not get too over the top, unlike in the other modes, teams in 4-team Turf War will only have 3 players on a team instead of 5. I feel like that should help balance it a bit, right? And one final huge change, I want to allow for 2-player split-screen multiplayer for all 3 online modes and story mode, but we'll cover story mode in a different video. A second player could have access to all of player 1's gear, but obviously not the ability to spend their cash. There might be some worry about what this would do to a player's level or rank, but Mario Kart actually has had this down and been doing it since at least Mario Kart 8 back on the Wii U. If not, I believe they were doing it in Mario Kart Wii. And if people are worried about balance for online play overall, it's not too different from me and a friend using 2 Switches to play together online. This just removes the middleman of needing a second Switch. Splatoon is one of the best multiplayer games Nintendo has ever made. Yeah, I can never whip it out at parties or when friends are over or anything like that. Which is strange because Nintendo is legendarily known for otherwise. If you don't like something like this, that's fine, but in my opinion, an option is simply an option. And options can only be a plus. Anyways, let's go back and talk about Inkin's Bay. But let's actually talk about Splatsville. I love walking around Splatsville. There are so many back alleyways and staircases that lead to nowhere important, and I love that. It really feels like Splatsville is a real lived-in city, but it falls a bit short with the shops. It's a bit weird that we can explore random alleyways, yet we can't even walk around the stores. Worse, the store door is open, you can see inside, but it's barely a room. I know this is probably because it's just a loading transition, but still it breaks immersion. That's why in Inkin's Bay, you'll be able to actually walk around in every store with no loading screens. Walk up to any counter and the usual menu you're used to will pop up, just like in the past games. You can still swap between the different stores too, also like in previous games, but there will just simply be no loading screen. Plus, if the player wants, they can be more immersed into the shopping culture of Inkin's Bay and walk around. Maybe walking around the shop can reveal a few more options to the player in order to add some incentive to exploring the actual shop as well. Speaking of shops, there's a new one for a new type of gear. Legwear! Finally! I hinted at it earlier when I showed the artwork of these 2 earlier. I know a 4th piece of gear might risk throwing off competitive meta, but A, I think that the gear abilities could be nerfed in order to match, and B, freaking legwear, man. Come on, more customization. Again, options only add more options. That can't be a bad thing. Plus, with the more tropical setting, you just know that grass skirts would be an option, and that alone will make it worth it. Moving on, Atlantis will get an upgrade in the form of a new store I call Shop Dropolis. Sorry I don't have a picture for it, but in following the theme that Atlantis has set, I thought it would be funny to have Yoko from Ink Theory and Yoko and the Gold Bazookas run the store. However, lockers won't be returning. That's right, after years of fans asking for apartments to be added to the game, we're introducing boats! I know that sounds a tad bit disappointing, but with the story and themes in my game, it doesn't make sense for players to have their own apartments in this world since you're an outsider visiting a battle resort. That might sound a bit like a weak excuse, and it honestly probably is, especially because why on earth would my Inklings suddenly have their own boat? But before I even decided to add this feature, when I was working on the story mode of this game, it starts with you getting your own boat right at the very beginning. So, problem solved to some extent. It's literally part of the story for you to get a boat. So I think it all works out. Regardless, because of this, Shop Dropolis will sell more than just decorations, but furniture type items too, as well as new coats of paint for your ship. But I also want there to be a catalog rack, where players can buy catalogs from previous seasons, just in case someone missed a season but still wants the goods from that catalog, instead of hoping that certain items will return in future catalogs or praying to the RNG gods at the shellout machine. However, with it being a shop, players would still have to spend their money on the old one. The one for the new or current season would still be given out for free though, but regardless, you'd be reset to catalog level 1, even if it's for a season you previously did work on. There's gotta be some kind of incentive for doing things on time, right? Plus, this already has tons more accessibility and replay value than Splatoon 3. I also want to add a section for street performers. People had such an extremely positive reaction to Splatoon 3's Grand Festival venue, where all of the idols would perform on a rotating schedule, and I not only had fun exploring that myself, but also had fun watching other people spend hours not even playing Turf War, just attending these in-game concerts. Not to mention that Splatoon has always had a bunch of bands for all the other music in the game that even have their own lore, just for them to never physically appear in the game. So in Inkin's Bay, there'd be a spot where every hour, on the hour, one of these bands would show up, perform one of their songs, then dip. I imagine the Nintendo Switch app would have the schedule posted too. If once per hour isn't frequent enough, maybe every half hour? Maybe make it less frequent, like 2 hours? I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But, since we've already covered a lot today, I'm going to end it here. But don't worry, I've still got tons more to reveal, from new weapons to reworking Splatfest and even a story mode. In fact, if this or any of my Splatoon videos can get to 200 likes, I'm going to try, emphasis on try, to reach out to Pro Chara to create theoretical kits for every weapon in this concept. Not every weapon that's been in Splatoon, just for a few select ones I would want to make sure return, as well as some new ones that I would have planned that I will be introducing next time. So, until next time, well, I think I actually might have time for one more thing. I'll let that close us out. So, thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Keep dreaming.